Hello and welcome back to another video, and this one we're going to continue on looking at the different types of occluders and how to draw them. So we've got our map and we're going to go back to our line of sight tool, and this time we're going to have a look at the illusionary wall. So if we select that, we see we don't have any options here, but we do have the trim interior occluders available if we wanted to use that. Let's first of all draw in a normal wall. So we're just going to come here, make sure that we've got our line tool selected, and we're just going to draw in a wall down here like this. Now, illusionary walls are very similar to normal walls in that they block the line of sight, but they don't block movement. And we want to draw the illusionary walls in the same way as we drew the doors and windows and secret doors and that kind of thing. So we're going to start off, and this is a recommendation. You don't need to follow this. You can do it however you like, but I'm going to start off with the rectangle here for the wall type, and I'm going to switch on our trim interior occluders, and then I'm just going to draw a rectangle around here so that I got a break in the wall. Go back to edit tool, and then I'm just going to delete that rectangle that we've drawn. I will go to our illusionary wall, select our line tool, and then just draw the line between these 2 points. If we switch on our line of sight and our player preview, you can see that as far as the token is concerned, there is no indication that there is an illusionary wall there, and when we mouse over it, we don't get any indication. We can see this also in the player view. If we select our player token, there's no indication that there is a wall or anything like that there. So the wall will only become apparent when the player, well, let's go back to our player view, when our player tries to move through the wall, they can do so. And so illusionary walls block line of sight, but they don't block movement. So that's fairly simple, and again, as I would suggest that you draw them like I showed you there, using the rectangle to punch a hole in your normal wall and then just join up the dots, and that way there's absolutely no indication that there is anything there. All right, let's now have a look at the pit tool, and so let's find an area of the map. Let's go over here. We can switch off the line of sight for the moment. We'll go on to our line of sight and we'll select our pit tool. Now when we select pit tool, we see that there's a number of options. We've got the trim interior occluders again available if we need it, but it's grayed out and not available by default. But we have these 2 options here. So we've got is toggleable, and this is exactly like the window one that we saw. So if it's on, then the pit is toggleable. In other words, it can be switched on or off. And then we've got this other one here, which means it blocks movement if this is lit up, and if it's not lit up, then it doesn't block movement. So let's switch both these off to start with, and we'll select our rectangle tool, and then we'll just draw or make sure that we've got this selected, and we'll just draw a pit in here. And then if we go to our player token and move them over to here, we can switch on our line of sight, and we'll switch on our, oh, and I've put them in the wrong place, so let's move them just a little bit up. So as far as the player is concerned, this area, there's nothing here. The pit isn't blocking the line of sight or anything like that. We can't see it, it's hidden until the player moves forward, and then they are in the pit. And as we can see, the line of sight is now being blocked because the player is down in a hole in the ground, or a proper pit, or whatever it is. and the player can move around inside it, and they can also move outside in any direction. Because we made the pit, we made it not toggleable, and we made it didn't block movement. So if we get rid of this one and then redraw this with blocks movement on, same tools, we'll just draw the rectangle again. We'll draw another one. And we'll go in here, we'll select our token, and now when our token moves into the pit, they can't move back out again. They are trapped in the pit. So this occasion the pit is blocking movement and also blocking line of sight. Now they can't get out if we mouse over this as the Dungeon Master. There's no toggle here, so in order to allow the character to escape, we're going to have to hold down Shift and then move the player. Only the Dungeon Master can do this, but we saw that in one of the earlier videos, is the Dungeon Master can use the Shift key whilst moving a token, and this preserves the fog of war and also can allow the token to move across obstacles such as walls and pits, etc. If we go back to this again and delete this one, and then we put in our is toggleable, and again, just we'll do a rectangle, make sure that this is selected, draw our pit again, and go back to our character, and now again the character is trapped in the pit. They can't get out, but this time when the DM mouses over the pit, they've got this symbol which shows that the pit is toggleable, and if we toggle that, if we click on that, then you can see that the line of sight comes back and the player is free to move in and out of the pit. So the obvious use for this is pit traps, but the pits can be used for a multitude of other things as well. You could use them for contours or any area really that's not level or higher or lower or whatever. And of course you can use the line tool. You don't need to draw squares like I did. You can use the line tool, but you'll see that when you draw it and when you finish it, it always completes this it always completes the whole line. So the pits always have to join up like this. You can't have just a line as a pit. It's got to be enclosing an area. This is it's called a closed polygon. So basically, it means that it's some kind of shape and it's closed. There's no open parts to it. And you could also use it for something like the river here, for example. If you wanted the players to fall into the river, then you could trace the pit along the river here. Something like this, and then if they fell into the river, they wouldn't be able to get back out unless they make some kind of DC check or whatever. So that's pits. They're quite handy. They can be used for quite a number of things. You can also have them, as I say, you can have them toggleable, or you can have them blocking or not blocking movement. It just depends on what the situation is and what you're using the pit for. Okay, let's get rid of all of this. No, we need a tool. Let's get rid of all of this. And let's now talk about the terrain tool. We'll just get rid of this one as well. So the terrain tool, when we click on it, we don't have any options with the terrain tool. We still have the trim interior occluders if you need it. But the terrain tool is effectively a tool which is used to block the line of sight or used for terrain which blocks line of sight certain elements. So one of the main ones would be something like vegetation or maybe the sides of the bridge here or whatever. And they're also closed polygons just like the pits. So when we start to draw the terrain here, we'll just select our line and the terrain tool, and let's start drawing here. You'll see that the line always finishes, so that when we finish, the line closes up. So this is another one of these closed polygons. So let's get rid of that one for the moment. Now, something that I wanted to show you, because we haven't discussed it yet, and that is you don't want to have too many occluder points on your map. So if we decided that this tree was blocking line of sight and we come in here and started drawing points around every little nook and cranny on this tree, something like this, then what you're effectively doing is you're adding in far too many occluder points onto the map, and this could have a considerable performance issue when tokens are moving around, because whenever tokens are moving around, there's got to be all sorts of calculations to be made for each of these points. So let's just finish that there. So because we've got far too many points on here, we want to reduce that. So what we can do is we're going to our edit tool and we're going to select this by just double clicking, and this will select all these points. And then we're going to come to this tool here, simplify selected occluders. And when we click on that, what it's going to do is going to automatically work out what occluders we don't need, and it's going to remove some of them. And we can keep clicking this until we get to a reasonable amount of occluders. And as you can see, each time we click, it's removing certain occluders from what we have drawn. So this is a much more reasonable number of occluders. We don't need to go overboard, and this is so I would suggest you don't draw them too many occluders or points in the first place, but if you are finding that your maps are slowing down, then you could use this tool here to simplify or reduce the number of occluder points that you have on your map. So the way that these terrain occluders work, if we can find our token, let's player view first of all. Let's move our token over here. So we can see that this tree is blocking the line of sight from behind the tree. So the token can't see what is behind the tree. But if we move the token onto the tree, then we can now see beyond the tree. We can also see behind the tree as well. But if we keep moving off the occluder again in a different direction, then the line of sight is being blocked from the direction that the token isn't on. So the terrain occluder blocks line of sight, but it doesn't block movement. So your tokens are free to move through and beyond the terrain, and they'll see what they see depending on where they are in relation to that piece of terrain. Now, you might also have noticed that when the Dungeon Master mouses over, that there is the option here to toggle this off. So if we just click on that, then this piece of terrain is now toggled off, and the players can see they're no longer blocking the line of sight, and we can turn that back on again, which could be useful in certain circumstances. Now, in relation to trees, again, another debate which is raged on the forums is whether or not trees actually block line of sight. And it really depends on the kind of tree that you're talking about here. I mean, I've got trees in my garden that are like 70 years old, but they're Scots pine, so they're basically just a trunk, and all the leaves are away up 80 feet in the air. But equally, I've also got other types of trees in the garden where the branches come right down almost to the ground. So it really depends on how you see or how you feel that the trees are going to block the line of sight. So one way you could do this is if you go to our wall tool and then our ellipse tool, and you can draw in where you think the trunk might be. And that's obviously going to block the line of sight, and it's also going to block movement. You can then come into your terrain tool, and then you could use the terrain tool to block the line of sight, supposing that the leaves in this case come all the way down to the ground. So you token can move through the tree and see the other side, but they're always not going to be able to see beyond the trunk, and the trunk is also going to block their movement. If it was, let's say this was just a bush, then obviously the branches are going to come right down to the ground level there, and we could just use the terrain tool to surround that without needing to have a trunk. So it's up to you how you draw, but you can combine elements of the line of sight here, as we can see, so that you can really do whatever you like with the terrain. Right, so there is one other. Let's just go into here and get rid of all of this. There is one other action that I haven't covered, and this is this duplicate paint layer as walls. So just briefly, because I'm no expert on this, but if we go into our painting layer here and select our line tool and just draw some lines on the map, close that off, go back to our line of sight, and then this is now lit up because we have a painting layer and we've got some lines on it, and if we click on this button, then all it does is add walls to what you have drawn. Now it doesn't distinguish between walls and doors and windows and anything else. All it does is it will draw the occluders on top of the walls that you've drawn, whatever you've drawn in the painting layer. So that's what the duplicate paint layer as walls means. So you can draw pretty simple maps if you wanted to, and you could use that tool to automatically add walls to that layer. Now I'm sure that there's much more complicated stuff you can do with that, but as I say, I'm no expert with the tools other than the line of sight tools here. That's the basics of that tool. Right, that's how to add occluders and line of sight to your maps. And the next video we'll start taking a look at lighting your maps. So thanks for watching. Cheers for now.